Welcome to Alaska Road Trippers. Today we're going to cruise out to Fox, Alaska, look at the pipeline viewing area. We're going to go out to Chatanika on the Steese Highway, and we'll go out to Elliott Highway out to Hilltop truck stop.
In the 90s, I supported the Trans-Alaska Pipeline. I drive 650 miles between the different pump stations. I supported pump stations 1 through 10, and so I would bounce back and forth all times of year, summer and winter. I drive the Hall Road. I drive all the way down towards Summit Lake on Richton Highway, which is by pump 10. So I went all between those pump stations and supported them. Now that contributed to a lot of my driving. This is the Trans-Alaska Pipeline. In the 90s, I worked on a project for VSM vertical support member numbering. They're going to enter in 32,000 of these numbers to then make these new stencils to repaint the entire pipeline support posts. I was able to download them from a mainframe and batch the whole process, so it saved them from all the human error of typing in 32,000 numbers. Then they went along and used these stencils to do the painting, where in the original day they did brass plates and then they had to clean the brass plates for every single job. Anyway, this took a couple years for this project, but I stumbled across it, and that's the Trans-Alaska Pipeline. This is the Trans-Alaska Pipeline. It runs 800 miles across Alaska. About 50% of it is above ground and 50% of it is below ground. Below ground is stable ground. Above ground is because the ground is possible for permafrost or soluble soils, so it can freeze and thaw. So put it above ground so the heated pipe doesn't melt out the ground. But if it's stable ground, then a lot of it was buried. So that's the Trans-Alaska Pipeline. Yeah. This is a Trans-Alaska Pipeline vertical support members, but just to show that everything rides on a shoe. So the shoe allows the pipeline to slide back and forth between these bumpers, and it's engineered for different areas. One area down the Richton Highway, it goes across tectonic plates, so it can move up to 30 feet on either side. And we've had one major earthquake that it survived. But anyway, this whole system just slides back and forth, and it's just pretty amazing how the pipeline works. This is a pipeline pig that runs through our Trans-Alaska Pipeline. We have many different pigs. Some are smart, some are maintenance. This one pushes through and cleans out a lot of sediment or crud in the pipeline from one pump station to the next. They have clean-out points that the pig then slides into before the pump station. And that's just a cutout to show a 48-inch pipeline pig. This is a scraper pig that goes through the pipeline. It's sitting upright right now, but basically it's pushed through by fluid. This is like 2,600 pounds. But it helps scrape through the pipeline and clean out any crud or buildup in the pipeline. Then they have launchers that come in and out. But that's another pipeline pig. This is a cross-section of the Trans-Alaska Pipeline. Many sections of the pipeline are different thicknesses, depending on the engineering and where they are being installed along the pipeline. But this is a 48-inch pipe, and during the pipeline, many of the old scrap sections of pipe, welders would cut out maps of Alaska, and those were very popular and famous. Guys would be cutting out tons of maps out of old sections of pipe that weren't used, that were bent or... Anyway, that's the cross-section of the Trans-Alaska Pipeline.
So this is the pipeline viewing area in Fox, Alaska. It's right along the Steese Highway. Steese Highway meets with the Elliott Highway in Fox by the scale house. But this is a little bit before there. Here we're going to go north before the intersection with the Elliott Highway, and then it's going to jump to the Steese Highway. This is going up the Steese Highway, heading north, goes up towards Cleary Summit and ski area. And there's also Fort Knox Gold is in that area as well. But as we go north, we head out towards Chatanika. Some of the early work my dad did as an engineer in the 60s was some of the calculations and placement of guardrails along the Steese Highway. The whole Steese Highway, the upper area, has had some straightening over the years, and same with the Elliott has had some straightening over the years. They used to follow all the terrain and go back all these switchbacks following the hillside. As they got funding, they then were able to straighten a lot of those corners and make it kind of fill in the gap and make it a little more of a straighter road. But as we head out here, the Steese, what also parallels the Steese here is what used to be the Fairbanks Circle Trail. And the trail's still there, still used by four-wheelers and ATVers and stuff. But that used to be the horse and wagon route for getting up to the gold country for some gold up in the central mining district, Circle Central Mining District area. You can also see on our roads, we tend to have expansion cracks at fixed intervals. With our extreme cold, the material expands and contracts, and we tend to have a lot of cracks appear. So a lot of times our highway department comes through and tries to seal them to keep the water from getting in there and then breaking up the road some more. But Steese is kind of nice. Sometimes you can see off into the valleys a little bit. Some of the trees have grown up a bit, so you can't always see off. But sometimes there's vista views where you can see across the valleys. A lot of people in town like to go out to Chatanika Lodge, Chatanika Roadhouse. Used to be some mining camps there. A lot of our roadhouses in Alaska have been kind of disappearing. It used to be that every 50, 70 miles you'd have a roadhouse for rest or for repairs. Get breakdowns, things like that. But a lot of our roadhouses have been kind of disappearing. A lot of times they had to run their own power generation for electricity, and then over the years, sometimes the lodges or they catch fire, or their generators act up and they catch fire. With no service in that, fire services in those areas, a lot of times if they catch fire, then they're a total loss. We've had quite a few losses on the Richardson Highway during my lifetime. Used to be one at Summit Lake, and used to be Black Rapids had a building there, and there's some down by Sourdough. But it's just a piece of Alaska history that's kind of changing with the times. More dependable equipment, better road conditions. People are able to put in more miles in the day. A lot of times people aren't stopping for food or snacks. Some were pretty famous. Paxton was known for their pie. Sourdough too was. A lot of them are known for their food. That's just a little insight. Here we're trying to get some of the view, but the trees have grown up. Getting further out towards Chatanika now. Here we are on the lower part of the Steese Highway. Still heading out towards Chatanika, and we're going to be going by Chatanika Gold Camp, which was a housing camp for housing and meals for the people working on the gold dredge or in the gold process. A lot of times they put in steam points that would help thaw out the ground to make it easier for the equipment to dig, because it's impenetrable, some of our frozen ground. So here's the Gold Camp driveway right there that goes up to Chatanika Gold Camp. We're going to head out here, and we're just going to go as far as the Chatanika River. And we'll pull in, take a little look at the bridge, and take a nice leisurely drive back into town. Actually, we'll probably go up to Elliott as well. But this section of the highway has been holding up pretty well. It's built on good ground. Here's to pull in for the Chatanika River. There's a whole campground off to the right with spots and access to a gravel bar. We're going to go over here to the left. It's more over towards the bridge, so we can see a little bit of the bridge and take some pictures of the car.
This is the Steese Highway. This is the Chatanika River Bridge. It goes over the Chatanika River. As I used to travel around with my dad, we'd always stop and sometimes look at bridges. Being a civil engineer, he always liked to look at the designs and how well they're holding up. So as we travel around Alaska, we look at the rivers for fish. We look at the bridges just to see what they were like.
So we're out on a Sunday driving for this day, and there happened to be some traffic that we saw come across the bridge, and we were just out enjoying the sunshine, taking a few pictures, see if anybody's fishing. There were a couple people fishing over there by the bridge, but we actually saw another car come by. Sometimes on the Steese, you may see the same traffic weekdays or weekends. Uh, the lower Steese, sometimes you get people coming out for fishing on the weekend, but the upper Steese, you might get more deliveries. Uh, Commercial trucks trying to take supplies up to Circle or Central. But there's another truck. Oh, we had some sunshine, and leave us in the comments if you have any preferences or things you like about photography. We're just trying to mix it up a bit. Now we're going to go back out to the road and head back down the Steese to Fox. And then in Fox, we're going to turn right and go up to Elliott, to Hilltop truck stop. The unique thing about Fox is if you turn right and go up the Steese, we have the town of Circle Village. And then, but if you go straight and go up to Elliott, that's how people go to get to the Arctic Circle. So for tourists, when they stop and they ask how far to Circle, you gotta ask them exactly where they're going, because sometimes they may be on the wrong route. I've had relatives that years ago went the wrong route. So here, coming up, we have a eagle's nest that's up in a power pole, and it looks like they just diverted the power poles and left that one pole there for the birds. They didn't want to mess with their nests or anything. Coming up here on the left-hand side, you'll see that separate pole just had so much nest on it that let's just leave them alone, and the power poles turned and went across the road to the other side. So we saw them as we were coming north, and now we decided to stop, take pictures on the way south. But the way the photography worked, you couldn't really see, they're more shadowed lighting than when we were coming north.
Poker Flats Rocket Range, Steese Highway north of Fairbanks. They've been here since 1969. They shoot rockets in the upper ionosphere, and they can do a lot of studies and track the rocket as well. Pretty amazing stuff you can do in the middle of winter.
We're still heading south, going back to town on the Steese Highway. We're going to come up here on Chatanika Lodge. A lot of times people drive out to Chatanika Lodge for a little relaxation, a little peaceful drive, or if they're coming into town, it's the first place before they get into town. So this is what a lot of our roadhouses used to be. Just a log cabin structure, sometimes with a restaurant bar, maybe some repair facilities running generation. Here we are driving along the Steese Highway, heading back in towards Fox. We're going to come up to some truck traffic here. They're currently running gold mine ore from Tetlin, which is out by Tok, Alaska, 250 miles into Fairbanks and up to Fort Knox mine. We're going to see one of their semi-trailers here. They're actually running doubles, but here they're running singles. They can't run doubles on the Steese, so that's one trailer. Imagine two of those. They disconnect it just a few miles down by Fox, and they bring them up here single trailer wise to put it in the mine for the ball mill. So they run that 250 miles each way. They're running 24/7, 365 days a year. So this is coming to the intersection in Fox.
Alaska. One intersection of the Steese Highway, Old Steese Highway, and the Elliott highways. start the Dalton Highway, which goes all the way up to Prudhoe Bay, the top of Alaska.
On the left is Fox Spring. A lot of people go out to Fox to get good drinking water. They've been doing that for decades.
That was Little El Dorado Gold Camp. Brant worked there for a while until he got bought out.
Little El Dorado Gold Camp was a little tourist attraction that showed people how gold mining works, and they allowed them to pan for gold. So it was actually a pretty nice little operation. They ended up being bought out by a larger group, and they still do a lot of gold panning in Fox. So a lot of tourists stop there and do some gold panning. Of course, it's nice when you have heated water, right, instead of the cold creeks. Pulling up here, we're going up to Hilltop Truck Stop.
We're at Hilltop Truck Stop on the Elliott Highway. It's just north of Fairbanks, north of Scale House. So truckers usually gather here and prepare for their trip up the Haul Road to Prudhoe Bay and back.
Hilltop Truck Stop is known for their pies. Of course, we got some while we were there, apple and banana cream. They have fuel services there. The next gas station is at Yukon River Bridge, and the one after that is at Coldfoot. So from here to Coldfoot is about 250 miles. So here we are heading back into town, heading back towards Fox on the Elliott Highway. Sometimes you get nice vista views. Just depends on the trees, but on the Steese and Elliott Highway, the lower sections, they run a lot of ridge top, so a lot of times you get some good views. This is heading back in towards Fox Spring. We're going to go by El Dorado and then Fox Spring. As I said earlier, a lot of people go out there to get drinking water, and it's a regular staple in the Fairbanks Gold Stream area. People regularly make their weekly or a couple times a week trip to go get drinking water at the Fox Spring. We're coming in the Elliott Highway into Fox by the Scale House, and we got a quick glimpse of a semi-trailer, double trailer coming in from Tetlin. So that's going up to Fort Knox Gold Mine to run the material in the ball mill, but they have to drop a trailer because they can't run doubles further up on the Steese. But they're actually doing a round trip of 250 miles. So this is going through Fox on the old Steese Highway. They rebuilt it here in Fox. Silver Gulch Brewery and Restaurant. On the other side is the Howlin' Dog Saloon. And this here is the main area of Fox. This is the old Steese Highway. They recently just rebuilt it. It was pretty nice. Down the road past the intersection is Gold Dredge number 8, which is a tourist attraction. They show you how gold mining worked and let you do some gold panning. Here on the left is coming up is Turtle Club. That's fine dining in Fox, Alaska. They're known for their prime rib. So stop in there and they have a miner's cut. So this is going out, turning right and going, now we're on Goldstream. But they were putting down some fresh oil. And so we decided, well, we weren't going to drive through all that fresh oil and get the car all oily. So we turned around and came back. And we're going to take the old Steese Highway and come up over the ridge and drop into Farmer's Loop. So what's amazing is we're on a Sunday drive. We see the oil patch, the things that they're working on out there in Goldstream, so we decided to avoid that construction and come around on the old Steese. And then we're going to turn and actually this is by the pipeline crossing on Goldstream right here because of the double guardrails. The pipeline goes underneath the roadway here. But we're going to turn right on the old Steese and we're going to go back towards town, going back past Gold Dredge number 8. So this is the old Steese. We're going to turn and we're going up and over the ridge towards Farmer's Loop. And here's what's so amazing is we're out driving on a Sunday, taking in some of this footage. We come down towards the Dog Mushers and we run into our friends. And it's just amazing how you just randomly out and you run into somebody that you know. So we say hi to them at the intersection and we turn right on Farmer's Loop and go past the Dog Mushers Hall. Dog Mushers Hall is used for a lot of sprint racing, short track, as it were, dog racing, and they have a lot of trails and a whole building and support facility there. Most people know dog racing is the long endurance sport like the Iditarod, but there's also short racing that's really popular. It's amazing how people hold on there, and those dogs really love to run. So we're coming down Summit Drive, and we're going to meet up with the Farmers Loop here, and we're going to turn right, and we're going to head west on Farmers Loop. Right across the street is the Dog Mushers Hall, which is a nice scribed log building. Scribing is kind of a lost art where people mark the logs and notch them together so they interface really well. But that gives us a nice little meeting hall, and also allows us to people warm up while they're watching the races. That's a Dog Mushers Hall right there. That covers most everything for today's video. Please leave us comments below, like and subscribe, and we'll see you on down the road.